Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. We will be talking about digitalization and some strategies around it. And of course, by using Countly, how to achieve the digitalization goals. I have here today my colleague, Lucy. She's a product manager at Countly, so she will be assisting me today. So, digitalization, it's been a concept that's been there for for the last decade, I would say. So a lot of companies are trying to move their operations toward their digital channels to serve better their customers. And as you may already know, digitalization is basically carrying company-run operations from physical channels towards the digital channels. And big companies, especially that have multiple channels, they serve through different service channels. They have physical channels, they have third-party service centers, they have call centers, they have self-service kiosks. But digitalization would be the transformation of these traffic that go into these physical channels towards the more digital channels, which would be the web pages or the applications that the companies might have. So basically, this is what digitalization is all about. What are the benefits of digitalization? It's basically faster reach to the customer base. A lot of companies benefit from, enjoy increased sales and revenue from this concept. There's ability to serve large customer base more efficiently, cost savings for the company because physical channels are more costly compared to the digital channels. And also increase customer satisfaction because when there is a physical touch to the customers, there's usually waiting line, there is usually frustration, misunderstandings, and everything. So also this would increase customer satisfaction for the companies as well. There are some important KPIs that we should monitor when we are looking at digitalization. And these would be our monthly active users. So how many users are coming to the online channels, digital sales compared to the overall revenues as well. There are some research that is being done out there. And based on these information, for example, digital sales are around 20% these days and are expected to increase as we move into more digital age. But right now, digital sales in overall takes about 20% with the resources that are found, that can be found online as well. So customer satisfaction, which is usually the NPS score. So are the customers happy using the channel? Are they satisfied with the services? And also the measurement of physical operations compared to the overall transaction. So what is the percentage of these transactions happening within the company that would occur in the digital channels, basically. So there are some strategical thinking behind how to encourage users to use the digital channels for their needs, basically. And these would require some targeted actions towards these customers. And for each process that we would like them to be transferred to the digital channels, first you need to identify a potential customer base. Then when it's the right time and when it's the right people and the right situation, you would create awareness and trigger them to take an action within the digital channels. We should monitor the success, how well did we do versus what can be improved, and basically maintain what we are doing right and improve what we are doing not completely right, let's say. So, and the critical part of these targeted actions is to look at a customer journey map, basically. And this would be applied to many customer journey that are for their experiences within the company and whatever process we are trying to focus on. As we see, the channels are app, web, call centers, shop, for example, that you might be giving services to the clients. But the critical part of the customer journey map, we could divide it to 3 parts, where you need to look at the start of the journey. So how would this journey would start? What are the onboarding requirements? How do they register? How do they log in? How do they start their journey for a specific process? Then once they started their journey, what happens in between until the end point? So how are they affected within this journey? How do they get informed? How do they troubleshoot problems? How do they get support? How do they use the services that are provided within this journey? And then looking the end point of things, how would this journey end? Are there some balances that need to be paid? Do they need to unsubscribe from something? What are the things that they need to do so they would offboard from this specific journey? And this could be literally anything. It could be shopping experience. It could be usage experience. It could be anything any services that we would be providing as a company. And we will look at these things as an example later on. And for Countly, we provide some very useful tools to kind of combine these journey maps and the triggering and targeting the certain users. And for us, as we said, we need to first look at our KPIs. So how are we performing? And mostly used tools in Countly would be drill and formulas for these. So we can drill through to get some KPIs for these. Targets and triggers would be our cohorts and push notifications. So you determine a specific use case out of the whole population and figure out how to reach out to them and when to reach out to them, basically. And also the insights, which would be our funnels and NPS. So looking at the journeys of the customers, where are they falling off? What are the bottlenecks within the process? What are the improvement points that we can look at? These are mostly from funnels. And then how satisfied are they? Are they happy using our services? And there would be rating going with the NPS reporting. So these would be the mostly used tools within Countly. Now, for today, we created a fictional telecom company. We called it CountlyCELL. And we will look at, from a telco company perspective, how can we apply these scenarios, the journey maps and the trigger points by using Countly, and how to help transfer these transactions to the digital channels, basically. So, and the reason why we chose a telco company is because they have multiple channels that they serve their clients with. And like they have call centers, shops, digital channels. So it's a very good example of how to apply these theories in real life to attract them to the digital channels, basically. So before I go into the examples, I would like to show you a dashboard that might be helpful, and we will go through these as well going forward. As we said, a digital scorecard is necessary. So we need to determine our KPIs. What will we be monitoring going forward? Because as we said, what are the KPIs of digitalization? Revenue, number of customers, their satisfaction, percentage of transactions that are happening in the digital channels compared to the other channels. And for these, drill and formulas will be very useful. So as a digital scorecard, we can see how many customers have in there, the digital sales, how much we have made that month, certain month, what is the percentage of sales happening overall, what are the percentage of transactions that are happening through digital channels compared to the actual bigger revenue. So this would be a very helpful dashboard just to look at as in terms of KPIs. Now, looking at these, first step would be creating a mind map and map out all the factors that would play into making a digital channel through while thinking digitalization of the customers. So first, we need to think through how do they sign in, for example. Then how can we make revenue by using digital channels? And telco companies, back in the day, they used to sell only minutes, SMS and data. But today, they have increased their product line, for example. And they have a lot of categories that they are basically making revenue from. So they're selling GSM packages, they're selling home internet, they're selling devices by using their websites. They are now big on lifestyle applications, so they provide additional services like cloud services, sports, news, TV apps, music apps, and similar items based on these things. They are having TV subscriptions. So it's not minutes and SMS anymore. It's a big, wide world. So for each one, we need to think through what the customer's journeys would be like. What do we want to measure? How can we attract them into our channel so the revenue is generated through the digital channels instead of the actual stores? Then there's also transactions that are happening. They are topping up their credits. They are paying their bills through their online channels. They can order a new number. They can switch their phone from prepaid to postpaid, these services. Then another most important thing, which is a key factor, would be looking into top reasons. Why are the customers coming to our physical channels? Maybe they have complaints about their invoices. Maybe they want to pay their invoices. Maybe they want to buy their packages. They might have internet problems. So looking at these top traffic, what is the root reason that the customers are coming to our regular channels? It's important to look at these and kind of have a starting point while creating a journey. And then there could be some service and activations that could be done online as well, like activating your roaming services, voicemail services, voice forwarding, these kind of telco services, for example. So once you lay everything out, then it's much easier to think through each process, create a journey map, and identify the target groups that we would want to act on, basically. So let's look at some examples. The first one would be online package sales. So we are trying to convert revenues into digital channels. So our problems would be people could be calling our customers service centers, call centers to inquire about their usages. They might be calling to purchase packages. They are maybe they are late on their renewing their packages, so there are some extra standard fees that came into the line. They might complain about it. It creates customer dissatisfaction, and also by the loss of those intervals, the company is also losing money because those would be the empty period. So what do we need to do? We need to attend to these customers, both to bring them online, but also act at the right times to generate these revenue. So how do the journey start? Remember our journey map. So for example, maybe they have reached to 80% of their package. They haven't run out yet, but they are close to running out. So this is one of our trigger points to check the balance. So these would be done with our cohorts within Countly, identify the target customers that are maybe running this percent of their packages. And these would be triggered events in the backend. Then they actually finish their package, so 100% is done. We would need to communicate with them again. Hey, your package is finished. You can just click and purchase your package very easily online. But to do this, but to convince them to purchase a package, then we also need to check, do they actually have another package that can be used, because they will not be buying a new package if they already have an existing package. So if they don't have a package, let's offer them an offer so they can complete purchase online. And then going through, so when this scenario happens, that they run out of their packages, so they have two options. They can either go to the web or application. And when they go here, maybe in my fictional telco company, I have two pages that they can purchase the package from. One would be their actual package details page, and the other would be an overall page where they can just purchase a package like a shop. They enter their details, and then we check, is there a successful purchase? If it's successful, great. If not, then we need to look at what are the reasons that they could not complete this process successfully. So we can improve and convince them to come back again, because if they're running problems in their journey map, then they might not come back to our digital channels. They might go to our call centers. And the second journey they might take would be going to the physical channels. They complete something and they do a successful purchase. But here, with our digital systems integration in the backend, you can trigger these customers and say, hey, we see that you purchase your package in our store, but next time purchase it online and we will give you additional maybe 5 gigabytes, 3 gigabytes or whatever. So again, an incentive to attract them to digital channels would be helpful. And again, these would be done with our cohorts and push notifications. Now, looking at the dashboard from the revenue perspective, so I can look at their NPS. How happy were they by purchasing online? What is my overall sales compared to other channels? Am I improving towards compared to the other physical channels or not? And also, am I making, is my average revenue per user higher or lower compared to other channels? So maybe I need to correct my UX to make the more expensive packages more attractive. So when the users come, they prefer the more expensive ones compared to the cheaper ones. So I can improve there. Also, looking at the funnels, remember I told you that in my fictional telco company, they had two places that they could purchase from. I can look at the funnel. So which one has higher percentage of conversion? So I can focus more on those channels. Let's say my diversion of the traffic would be to that page in the, for example, purchase package page instead of the details page. But also, what can I do to improve these pages so they can increase their conversion in the revenue? And then I can also look at fail reasons. Why did they fail? Maybe here, some of the categories that we have, unrecognized credit card type, for example. So maybe in my UX side of things, I should put the logos of the cards that we accept, so they don't go through the whole process and then it's declined and they have to come to the front again. Maybe maybe they chose incorrect package type. So I can do this check while they're filling out their details, so they don't have to go through the whole payment and then it's declined by the system and they have to start over. So I'm trying to catch them. I'm trying to improve before they actually go to the transaction step. We need to improve them from the beginning. So this would help their experience going forward. So our conversion page. This could be done for device sales and other sales items. I'm not going to go into due to time limitations. Our second example would be a transaction example, which is a bill payment. So now here, in my fictional company, there's a bill issued on the 1st of the month. They have until 15th of the month to pay their bill. After the 15th, because there will be interest that will work on it, work on the invoice, so the customers will be dissatisfied. And then 2 weeks after the due date, I will be shutting their services off. So again, dissatisfaction by the company, by the customers. So what I could trigger here, again, by using our cohort, I can let them know their bill is ready. They can come and take a look on the online channels. This would prevent complaints to the call center. They can see their details online. So it's the first step to look into their bills, see what the fees came from to answer their questions, to eliminate the possibilities that they would go to our physical channels to create complaint or create extra lines there. Then I would check on the second trigger, hey, you haven't paid your bill yet. Click now and pay now so you don't go through the hassle of going and waiting in lines in the stores. And then I triggered them again on the due date. Today's your due date. Prevent your interest charges, so you can just pay now. And then keep going, informing until the end. So this would be the journey of a bill payment transaction. How did it start from the bill issued? How did it end when the bill is paid or service is stopped? So each of these things, I need to plan in between what they will live through, where I should inform them about these, and like to keep an eye on how satisfied they are with this process. And journey two that they could do is they might just go to a call center or a shop, pay their bills. But again, I can trigger in the backend saying you just paid your bill in the store. Thank you, but next time pay it online, which is easier, and then I will give you an additional credit or something, comparing these. And again, in our dashboard, looking at these things, I'll go to bill payment. You can check by using our drill and formulas, what is the percent being paid online, how many invoices were issued, and how many were paid. Are they paying before or after the due dates? Do we need to improve certain steps to move them before the due date to increase satisfaction? Bill payment, which channels did they use most to pay their bills from? When they tried to pay their bills, where did they fail? How can I fix their experience online so they don't fail in these? And I can look at the funnel by looking at their journey, where they're dropping off. What are the reasons that they're dropping off by the bill payment? So this would be helpful to fix the journey, digital journey, to attract more users online. And my final example would be a roaming example, where roaming, as you know, is one of the most dissatisfying experiences for a lot of the users, because when they travel abroad, it requires some technical information. You need to go choose your network. You need to set up your settings so your internet and your minutes work. But then it's an expensive service. Okay, European Union, it's more relaxed now with some regulations, but traveling abroad anywhere else, it's an expensive experience. So you need to eliminate the complaints that might occur after the passenger comes back to the country, for example. So where does the journey start? When a phone is connected to a foreign network, first of all, then the journey starts. Then you should monitor the price tiers of their invoice tiers that they're reaching at. For example, you have a tier 1, they've reached a certain limit, they don't have a roaming package, they're using from standard tariff, and they're acquiring a lot of charges. I should trigger them and tell them, hey, you know what, you are using this, standard fees are high, click here and purchase online your roaming package so you are not affected too much with the high roaming charges. Maybe they didn't do it, they moved to the second roaming tier. Again, this is what's happening, so we inform them again. And then maybe in my company, I said, okay, you have reached a certain level, I'm going to start a package for you to prevent these charges, and I will tell you about it. So these people would be, I would be monitoring their roaming experience once they signed into a network to prevent their charges. Or maybe they couldn't connect to a network, but they connected to a Wi-Fi abroad. And from there, you could see the location of the Wi-Fi based on the IPs. And if they also use the application, say, we could send them a push notification saying, hey, you seem like you're in a foreign country. Click now and activate your roaming service. So, and you can activate by doing these steps, for example, to help them start their journey in roaming experience, for example. And looking at these, actually, a funnel would be a reverse funnel now. So the less number to the bottom is better. That means our steps would be working, because we don't want people to be jumping too high on the tiers, pricing tiers. So we are monitoring which ones are actually starting their packages early, so they don't inquire a lot of roaming charges. This could be applied again for home internet experience, for example. Who are having problems? What are the problems like? Is it slow internet or connectivity problem? Which stations are out? You can look at login experience and monitor if they're doing successful onboarding to the application and digital channels, seeing what are the fail reasons to maybe helping them fix these parts. So this would be the journey that a telecom company might face going forward. I try to give like a revenue example, an experience example, and a transaction example. And this is a very important concept that should be considered using the digital channels to actually increase success within the organization and transforming the users to the digital channel. So now I think we are ready to take questions. If they have come, I can try to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Deniz, very much for the walkthrough. We do have a couple of questions, so let me start with the first one. Okay. What would you recommend as a first step while tracking the digitalization?
Well, it's a very good question. The first step would be, as we showed online, putting a mind map, laying out the operations of the company, where the onboarding starts, where the revenue comes from, what are the top services that are the top complaints or transactions that needs attention, would be the first step. And also the second step would be defining what a digital customer is for the customer, because a digital customer doesn't have to be someone who logs in. Maybe it's someone who pays their bills online. Maybe it's someone who purchases something online, but they didn't log in. So the concept of digital customer needs to be defined as well as a first step, and then kind of base the strategies, have to increase KPIs towards these processes going forward, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Second question. You have discussed or presented the examples from a telco company perspective. Mm-hmm. How can we apply these to other industries? Do you have any examples there?
Of course. I mean, telco is an example because it was a good example because they have a lot of physical channels and digital channels as well, but it's not limited to telco, of course. The biggest examples would be finance industry, you know, banks, when they have branches, they have call centers, they have applications. They are also trying to make their users come online. Airlines could be one, you know, they could monitor their passenger, their passenger journeys from check-in to check out the getting off the plane. What do they go through, their sales, etc. It could be restaurant franchises, for example. They could have their own applications. Maybe they try, instead of waiting for the customers to come to the restaurants, they might take their orders online. That's when they start their journeys and attract them compared to their competitors. It could be healthcare. You know, people might go to hospitals. They could upload some medical reports, etc. These would be trigger points or certain start of the journeys, and kind of they can take it through from there and move on. So these would be some examples that I can just think of. But yeah, the journey map idea and when to trigger the target groups is kind of similar in most. It just needs to be modified according to the operations of that organization, basically, I would say.
Thank you. I think there was a lot of examples from other industries. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other question is related to push notifications, actually. So the
Okay.
question asks, is it good to send a lot of push notifications? Would this make our users delete the app or disable the notifications?
It's actually a very good question as well. It's correct, like sending a lot of push notifications could result in terms negative. It would affect negatively the experience for digital channels. So that's why it needs to be thought very carefully. Push notifications is proven very strong way of communicating with the users. Like based on my previous experience, for example, we would see 1% reading rate of SMS messaging, for example, but push notifications, we started seeing 10%. Because it's actually targeted. So that's why I actually put in the beginning the triggering the target groups. You need to be, for each process, the target groups need to be identified correctly, and those people should be messaged during their journey according to the trigger points that relates to them. Like it shouldn't be like, because push notification is effective, let's send it to all and see what happens. It shouldn't be this way. It should be targeted. They need to need the service at that time. It shouldn't be sent otherwise, because it's just junk for them and it could result in turning off the push notifications of the application if it's unnecessary. So we make sure it's necessary for them and they can value out of it.
Mm-hmm. And we want to basically avoid the irrelevant audience, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the last question that I have here is also actually related to push notifications. Sending these triggers, push notifications, require the customers actually to have the app to be interactive. Do you have any suggestions of how to increase the number of users and visits to the apps in the first place so we can actually send them the push notifications?
Yes. I mean, the whole point of digitalization is for them to be able to complete these transactions online. And a lot of the companies today, they use gamification and they are giving incentives for the people who are using their digital channels. That's why I said, I gave some examples. For example, if they paid their bill through the store, send them a message saying, thank you, your bill is paid, but next time pay online so you can win extra 5 gigabytes or extra benefit or extra something. Or maybe some companies, they say, okay, once a week you have a game that you can win some benefits or some discounts through our application, and they tried using gamification to actually increase the interaction with customers. So these are mostly loyalty programs that needs to be considered and designed for the online users to accomplish these.
Okay, great. Thank you. We still have a couple more minutes. Are there any more questions? Maybe while we were answering those questions, some other questions might have popped up. So are there any?
All right, well.
I guess not.
I guess not, yeah. Okay. So I guess this would complete our webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope it was useful. And hope to see you guys next time.